The first year, I think every seizure and every person that I woke up to that was around me, it was instantly back to that night.
Until that night in March 2022, Jemma had only ever had one very mild seizure. Life was full of possibilities for the then 22-year-old.
You know, going into the city, getting coffee, going secondhand shopping. I love walking. Walking is my favourite thing to do.
But it was a walk through a Sydney city park on her way to a club that changed everything for Jemma.
I noticed these two guys ahead of me. Guess I got closer to them and I noticed that they weren't really moving ahead as I was getting closer. I think I could probably speak for most 22-year-olds. When you're by yourself and there's two guys there, you are going to feel a little bit nervous when you're right next to them. Then they started making a few comments about my outfit. They started asking a few questions about, I guess, what my intentions were and how old I was, where I was from. So I started to walk away, but I knew that I was like, okay, I've got to get out of where I am right now. And yeah, sorry. Things changed really quick. And I don't really remember a whole lot about it. I always thought of myself as being someone that would be able to defend myself. And I just remember, I guess, feeling so weak. And I honestly didn't know what to do.
Jemma was sexually assaulted by the two men. In a state of shock, she continued on to her friend's party.
I just was kind of standing there and I had no idea what had happened, and I was trying to, I guess, replay it in my head, and I was, yeah, that was pretty bad. And everyone could see that I was visibly upset. I was crying a lot. We got into the bathroom. I don't know if I managed to get into a cubicle, but that was when I had my first seizure of that night. And then I had a few seizures following that initial one. Next thing I know, I'm waking up and I'm in St Vincent's Hospital. I didn't report at the time because I don't think I wanted to acknowledge or admit. And then I think I was honestly just so scared.
Jemma also didn't tell her family or friends what had happened that night, but the trauma had flicked a switch in her brain.
I might go a week or two without having a seizure, and then I would have a massive cluster of these seizures. And so I would be in and out of hospital, like going to the emergency. Dislocated my shoulder 4 times during seizures. Fractured my wrist, fractured ribs. So yeah, I think my personality definitely went from a bubbly, confident person to just like a shell.
Her family became increasingly concerned. The seizures had appeared overnight with no explanation, and Jemma had never been diagnosed as epileptic.
You'd just be waiting with the phone beside the bed in the middle of the night. That was like living with a ticking time bomb.
The fact we really didn't know the reasoning behind it or the true reasoning behind it. We knew that there was some kind of trauma, but we didn't know exactly the extent.
When my parents found out, I mean, that's a whole different, I had never really seen my dad cry, and seeing that is really, I don't think anyone really likes to see their parents that upset.
It's one thing you don't really want to sort of accept. The parent's job is to try and keep your child safe, and when they aren't safe, you sort of feel as though you've let them down a bit.
It wasn't until we got to speak to one psychiatrist over the phone that said, okay, and he asked for my story. He said, okay, you need to go and see an FND doctor.
FND stands for Functional Neurological Disorder, which is how Jemma was eventually diagnosed.
That's a pretty broad term for patients who neurological symptoms of their brain or their nervous system malfunctioning, but we can't see something structurally wrong with it, and yet the patients are still experiencing these sometimes very severe and very disabling symptoms. And there's a lot of people who've been misdiagnosed and mistreated for epilepsy.
In Jemma's case, she was experiencing both types of seizures: epileptic, caused by abnormal electrical activity in the brain, and non-epileptic functional ones, caused by psychological factors.
Trauma is a big trigger for FND, particularly for functional seizures. That trauma can be psychological, physical, emotional. You can have mild seizures and more extreme ones, and those more severe ones might be quite frequent, they might be quite long-lasting.
While there's no cure, Jemma has strategies to help manage her symptoms.
I have to be really aware of what I choose to do and what I don't choose to do.
We can see like her love of life coming back to her. She's studying, so she's sort of getting her life back.
So as much as I want to help other people by sharing my story, it's also, I guess, helping myself as well to move forward and open up a conversation that is really hard to have.
Part of the healing process, Jemma and her family have organised the Big Walk on May 25th to raise funds for the Grace Tame Foundation.
She's an inspiration, little Jemmy.
She's a legend.
She's a legend, yeah. Like you said, she's a gem.
I'm extremely determined to regain control over my life, and I have a clear goal to what I want to get to and what I want to be doing in my life, and I'm not going to let what two people did stop me from doing that. I won't ever forget the night, but I'm moving on from it.
Yes, you are, Jem. Yes, you are, Jemma. That's it. It's taking back control, and you are doing that in the best way possible and a selfless way, in that now you are talking about your journey with a goal to help others and raise money for others. You are a freaking legend.
Yeah, and her parents seem to be extraordinary people as well.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Her beautiful parents and the support. Wow, just what a story.
Indeed. Well, on the subject of helping others, if you would like to donate to Jemma's Big Walk on May the 25th, you can head to our website and find the details there.
And of course, if you or anyone you know needs help, you can always call the National 24-Hour Counselling Helpline on 1800-RESPECT. That's 1800 737 732.